بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
سبيل الدموع سبيل مريح، تنهدى يا صاحي كي تستريح، وبث الدعاء الخفي الصريح، يسعك الفضاء الرحيب الفسيح. سبيل الدموع سبيل مريح، تنهدى يا صاحي كي تستريح، وبث الدعاء الخفي الصريح، يسعك الفضاء.
نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. One of my recent videos I discussed the significance of the hat in Islam, and whether it was just a practice of the Arabs or whether it has more religious significance. I also touched upon Islamic dress in general, and in this video I will talk about Islamic dress. What's its definition? Does the kurta, the jubba, the shalwar kameez, is that Islamic dress? Or is that Arab dress? Or is that Persian dress? Or is that Indian dress? First and foremost, there is no clear definition given in terms of what is Islamic dress as such. However, there are certain criteria that's placed. One is obviously the covering of a certain part of the body, which is referred to as the satar. That's the first and foremost criterion. That then also has to be loose fitting in order to ensure that, so for the male, the satar is from his navel to his knee, or underneath his navel to his knee inclusive. So he would have to ensure that anything he wears between his navel and his knee is something which is loose fitting and it covers his body. For a woman, her satar is everything bar her face and her hands, and we'll discuss the concept of hijab another time in terms of the face covering and the covering of the hands. But for now we'll just refer to that. So as the expectation on a Muslim woman is that she wears loose fitting clothing which ensures that the part of body which I just mentioned is covered, then similarly the same sort of ruling applies for a man. Man should also obviously, it's just adab, etiquettes, that a man is clothed fully. It's not that he's just walking around with Bermuda shorts or something. So obviously it's clearly that when he's walking around, working, school, whatever, that he's clothed fully. But in terms of loose fitting, it has to be between his navel and his knee. So what kind of material can he use? What kind of clothes should he wear? Now, in short, he can and she can wear anything as long as it meets that criterion that I just mentioned to you. One is covering the particular part of the body and loose fitting. So if a woman chose to wear Western designed clothes, but they met that criteria of covering her aura and being loose fitting, then there's no restriction upon her to say that, well, it has to be an Eastern dress and it can't be a Western dress. So that's nice. Similarly for a man, as long as he's wearing clothes which cover that particular part of area and loose fitting, then he meets the conditions of Islamic dress. However, what we tend to find is that when we look at the Eastern culture in particular, we tend to find that Eastern culture is normally about loose fitting clothing and has a different level of modesty that we find, say, within Western culture. And I appreciate this is generalization. There's many individuals within the Eastern world that may also adopt certain dress codes and certain practices, and likewise there are many people within the Western world who would adopt more modest approach. But I'm generalizing in order to be able to get this point across. So what we tend to find is if we're ever buying clothes, usually within the Western shopping malls and supermarkets or clothes outfits, we tend to find that they are very bright, very flamboyant, can be tight-fitting, and obviously exposing parts of the body. And when we look within the Eastern world, what we tend to find is loose-fitting clothing tends to be sort of dull colors, and obviously are covering significant parts of the body. Hence, you see the reason why when a person wants to adopt an Islamic dress, that he tends to look within the Eastern world rather than within the Western world. And so as a result, he will look at the Arab dress or the Middle Eastern dress, or he will look at Asian dress, and he will wear a jubba, or he'll wear a kurta, or he'll wear a kameez or something like that in order to cover his top part of his body. And as he wears a jubba of sorts, then because it is loose fitting, it also covers him from his aura, from his navel to his knee, in a loose fitting way, so his body parts can't easily be defined from a distance. If a person was to wear trousers and tight fitting trousers, and then if he was to sit down or even walk or go into sajda, then clearly because of the clothes, the trousers he's wearing, then it will be, his body parts are revealing. And as the requirement is for a woman, that same requirement is for a man, not to be wearing revealing clothes around his aura. So that's why you see the adoption of Muslims more so wearing Eastern dress than wearing Western dress. Are they following the Sunnah? Are they wearing exactly what the Prophet ﷺ wore? Well, most likely not. But they are following the Sunnah in the sense that it's loose fitting and it's similar to what the Prophet ﷺ has wore. So as close as one can get it, then that's what's available on the market easily and freely. I don't mean freely as in you can just walk in and walk out with it. What I mean is freely is it's not, there's no restrictions to its availability. So you will see men wearing jubba or man wearing a kameez and things of that nature, depending on which part of the world he's from, or even just borrowing that, even if he's not from that part of the world, because he feels that type of dress meets the criteria far better than what's available to him in the West. You're now starting to see Western organizations that are designing, as it's referred to as modest clothing, and they're trying to meet the same criteria that one would find normally within Eastern clothes, but they're now trying to deliver them to a Western culture and a Western community. That will obviously with time may possibly replace some of what's available from the Middle East and from Asia. So in short, the Islamic dress that we're referring to is clothes which are available on the market, which one can obviously purchase and be able to wear, which meet that criteria of being loose fitting and covering the aura, and not being such that they are tight or bright colored, especially if one is wearing them outside the house, with respect to a woman in particular. And that's how Islamic dress is defined. جزاكم الله خيرا أحسن الجزاء السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وبث الدعاء الخفي الصريح يسعك الفضل